Go off.
All right, let's go, because you know what I came in to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
And we're going to make sure, tell Terrence Crawford, keep his name out your mouth. You know what I mean? He talking crazy. Yeah. He talking crazy. He talking. You think about that one?
Nah, it was just some, you know, talking on some Twitter, like back and forth. I was joking around, but people.
Look, Tank is entitled to conduct his career how he sees fit to. I'm entitled to have my say on how he does that. Now, Tank is playing games with Terence. He likes playing games, but his resume is thin. Now, just because Tank likes playing games, he must not assume that Terence Crawford likes playing games. When Terence is talking about going up to 168 to fight Canelo, if that opportunity invites itself to Terence's doorstep, Terence ain't going to be like, oh, I was just playing. Nah, we're going to see Terence fight Canelo at 168. That's what we're going to see. That's what his career dictates. Tank shut down the games quick though, because his bluff could have got called quite easy. If they're demanding that Inoue makes the same jump from super bantam to lightweight, well, there's no reason why Tank couldn't make a similar jump in weight to fight Terence Crawford.
I'm calling your bluff.
But you know, Tank ain't trying to fight no one serious. If they're talking about Pitbull Cruz next, it's just the same old with Tank, and they're going to put that on pay-per-view.
It's the same old, just straining from the anal.
SHAKUR'S Stevenson is a good fighter, but all these good lightweights surrounding him shouldn't have allowed him to have this black murderer's row boogeyman reputation. But if you look at the lightweight division, it's surrounded by fighters who just don't want to fight the guy. And they're all ranked in the top 4, top 5. You got William Sabeda, he avoided a fight with Tank. Isaac Cruz. Lomachenko, he's decided to sit out the rest of the year rather than fight Shakur for the vacant WBC strap. And Shakur called him out. He called him out when he couldn't get the Devin Haney fight. So next up is Frank Martin, ordered by the WBC. Frank Martin, Shakur Stevenson. Isaac Cruz is more than likely going to fight Tank Davis for Tank's lower tier strap to the official joint that Devin still holds, at least temporarily. Devin's moving up to 140 to fight Prograis for the WBC strap. I have to say Loma is a real fighter, although, you know, he is swerving the Shakur Stevenson smoke. He is. Derrick James is probably thinking, this is just a nightmare right now. This is just a nightmare. He's having to put his fighters in fights that he probably hasn't got much confidence that these fighters can win. And I'm talking about Frank Martin versus Shakur and Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. If you think I believe, with the noise coming out of America and the globe really about their opinions on that fight, most people think that Deontay Wilder is going to incinerate Anthony Joshua. And just because Derrick James is his trainer, it doesn't mean he has full confidence that Joshua's going to win the fight. This is his job. He's getting paid. He's going to do his best to get Joshua over the line and get the W. As long as Derrick James does his job and preps Anthony Joshua to the best that he can to his fullest capacity as a trainer, he's done his job. It's not up to Derrick James to make Joshua feel that he's all conquering and all invincible. That has to come from self. He can win this fight. It's a fight he can win. But we'll talk about that on a later date. But this is on the back of that trouncing that Terence Crawford gave Errol Spence. And it's just a matter of time before Ryan Garcia has to get in there with somebody real. But that's what happens when you inherit or develop a stable full of cash cow fighters. Look, I don't really consider Errol Spence a big cash cow fighter like that, but he was the money man of the welterweight division until Terence slapped him all around the place. Ryan Garcia, you saw the huge numbers he'd done with Tank Davis, and Anthony Joshua speaks for itself. There's a lot of expectation on the fighters that Derrick James has in his stable. Frank Martin, however, he doesn't have them burdens. where it's risk reward to put him in with anybody, because he doesn't have a high market value in the lightweight division or boxing period. It's a horrible style matchup. Like, why do you think Lomachenko ain't taking it? Why do you think Sabeda ain't taking it? Why do you think Isaac Cruz ain't taking it? Derrick James, this is not ideal for Derrick James. He doesn't want his fighters going in there when in his heart he probably don't believe they can win. He doesn't want it. Like, the Anthony Joshua situation is different to the Frank Martin situation. He has an incentive to counteract his alleged trepidation, which I'm saying he's not saying. He hasn't said it. Because it's a huge fight. Arguably the most anticipated matchup in boxing right now. There's nowhere else for either man to go, whether you're talking legacy or financially. It's a legacy fight, not just for Joshua, but for Derrick James. So even if he has trepidation about putting Joshua in there, he's going to find motivation, like he had to for Errol Spence against Terence Crawford. He's going to find motivation to try and buck the odds. Martin, you know, he's 28. That's 6 years younger than Anthony Joshua. His team might be thinking, maybe there's easier ways to get in the title picture than this. What's at stake for Frank Martin taking a beating at the hands of Shakur Stevenson? Not much. Shakur don't bring much in terms of finances to the table for a WBC strap. But Frank Martin's been doing a lot of talking, going back and forth with Keyshawn, and sounding very confident. So we're assuming he's not going to run from the smoke from Shakur Stevenson, even though he takes the lower end of the split, whether the fight is negotiated before the purse bid or not. Either way, he gets the lower end of the split. As it says here on the Bleacher Report, getting an agreement will be tricky because Stevenson top rank, Martin, PBC are represented by different promoters. They've got till September the 5th to strike a deal or it goes to purse bids. I don't believe Frank Martin has the wiggle room that Lomachenko or Pitbull Cruz have to get out of this one, you know, like Tank's beat Pitbull already. Frank Martin's undefeated. I reckon people would be more interested in Frank Martin versus Tank rather than seeing Tank go over old ground with Pitbull Cruz. And you're going to try and charge pay-per-view for that? But Tank's protected over there. We know what the deal is over there. And if Frank can't get no favors on the PBC and he's on the same promotion as Tank on the PBC, what choices does he have? I don't think Shakur's too fussed who he fights for the vacant belt as long as he gets his opportunity. Modern day boogeyman in boxing though, I don't trust it. And inevitably, receipts are getting pulled up on Shakur's boogeyman status. Modern day black murderer's row status. Now he seems to be enjoying that nobody wants to fight him and he seems to be thriving off that. But how real is it?
Ruin the relationship if you never really wanted to fight him.
He does want to fight him. Are you talking about Shakur?
Absolutely. You're saying, why fight him now for 8 when we could fight him next year for 16?
Big up the Boxing Voice. Shakur Stevenson's management telling the Boxing Voice that they turned down $8 million to fight Devin because they can make twice that amount if they fight him next year. And it has been Shakur who was at the same event as Devin Haney, same party, sent him a bottle saying sign the contract, and Devin didn't take too well to that. Shakur was corresponding with Vasyl Lomachenko saying, why don't we fight each other while Devin is ducking us? He said that after Devin outpointed Lomachenko and Lomachenko wanted the rematch. A lot of people put a narrative out there that Devin was ducking Shakur. He doesn't want the fight. And I always said, listen, if he doesn't want the fight, call his bluff. To me, it didn't make sense that he didn't call his bluff. But before I go too ahead of myself, $8 million to challenge Devin for his belts? Now, he would have been a voluntary by the WBC, I'm guessing. $8 million at 25%? I'm not sure about that. The numbers don't seem to be adding up with what I heard there, but it's on the Boxing Voice. They're saying that Shakur turned down the fight, $8 million, but the numbers just seem off to me. But that's the only receipt of any validity right now is Shakur's management saying he ducked the fight for a significant purse. Now a lot of people are going to ask, well, where's he going to get $8 million to offer anybody? Well, he's got a working relationship with Eddie and DAZN, and maybe that's why the Prograis fight hasn't been signed yet. Just because he's a free agent doesn't mean that he can't make offers on the behalf of potential backers who want to back fights he's in. Now the question is, in 2023, would DAZN pay over the odds for a fight like that? They once would have done a couple of years back. But the question is, would they do that today? Quoting Bob Arum verbatim, he said, "There is no substance behind any talk for a fight with Devin and Shakur." Well, I would imagine he wouldn't be thrilled for Shakur to go over to DAZN to fight Devin Haney. Bob don't like paying over the top, paying over the odds. He ain't paying Shakur no $8 million. What would Devin get if Shakur gets 8? He's not paying all that for a fight. Now, it all depends who you believe here in this exchange on Twitter. Devin Haney, we've just had a meeting with Bob today. You wasn't one of the 3 fights that was offered. Shakur Stevenson, finally you speak for yourself. Bob just told the world the 3 fights he's about to offer you, little bruh. Let's get active, it's about that time. Unless Devin signed a 3-fight contract, re-signed a 3-fight contract with Bob, he wasn't going to get the Shakur Stevenson fight. No way. Because Bob likes to keep it in-house. He wants to have options on his beaten fighters, if possible. And Eddie has worked with Devin as a free agent without the security of a long-term contract. There's a history of that. Could be likely that DAZN might have told Devin that, yeah, you can make Shakur that offer if he wants to come over this side of the street. That's plausible. I want to big up Spooky on Twitter. It also could be 25% out of an $8 million pot rather than $8 million to Shakur, because I'm just not comfortable with the notion that Shakur gets an $8 million person. If he can get it, great, but I just can't fathom how that works. It could be 25% out of an $8 million pot, which would be $2 million, according to Spooky. I don't do maths, that was Spooky's maths. Which is a good deal to Shakur, as far as I'm concerned. People can say he earns more when he fights on Top Rank. This has got nothing to do with his Top Rank contract. This is about negotiating to fight for the title. CROTCHGATE. It ain't over. So we're talking about High Protector, High Trunks. And this ain't a meme. Look how high Tyson Fury's trunks are. Bloody hell. Was he trying to hide the rolls or protect the family jewels? Lord of mercy. Not that it had any impact on the fight. You know, like, Vlad didn't throw no body shots. Low, borderline, legal, or anything. All he did was get out-feinted and poked and pecked. No adjustments over 12 monotonous rounds. Got his title taken. How did the referee let that go, though? So if the spectator sport was football and your team got whooped, like my team got whooped and knocked out of the Caribou Cup yesterday, although we basically put our second team out. No excuse, but it is what it is. So the Tottenham fans are pissed and they basically say Tottenham didn't show no heart yesterday. There was no fighting spirit. They almost gave up when they were 3 or 2-0 down. Would anyone really object to the fans saying that? But boxing, if we say a fighter, you know, we can play semantics if you want, gave up, didn't want it, or the dreaded 4-letter word, quit, then the temperature starts to bubble and people don't like it. I guess it gets more sensitive when people are getting punched and could lose their life in the ring. But it seems like those who have been in the ring or are around the game, they're drawing a line in the sand for us. We can praise the boxers when we think they've done well, compliment them. Just don't you dare say they quit. And I'm not here to be an arsehole. I'm not here to be an arsehole. I will stand down on using such language from now. And I'll try and phrase what I want to say a different way. I will do. It's nothing for me to back down from that position. It's nothing. Not in comparison to people risking their lives for my entertainment. So I'll stand down. I will say this though, in response to Daniel Dubois saying he didn't quit and he didn't seem pleased about the people saying he did quit, I will say this. Daniel himself said he became disheartened out of his own mouth. He didn't say he was injured and became disheartened. He said he was disheartened because of a referee's decision. And when he, what looked like reluctantly, beat the count and the referee stopped him, could have been in the act of rising, I didn't see no protest at all from Daniel. And people will argue that's not the actions of someone who left it all in the ring. The only way to stop people from saying the dreaded 4-letter word, is to perform in a manner where it doesn't look like you've did that. Even the alibi that they used on Talk Sport, that Daniel was looking at Don Charles and was telling him when to get up, that's dicey, and I can't get the receipt to mind. But boxers have did that in the past, tried to gauge the count by looking at their coach, and they've misjudged it. So to me, not really a good alibi. Not a good alibi. The bottom line is Daniel didn't protest when it was waved off, and people are going to make of that what they will. I should always do these polls on Google. I get a bigger sample size, but on Twitter, 115 votes, a couple of days left. Is it ever right to say a fighter quit in a fight? 16.5% say no, 83.5% say yes. British Boxing Television, a respected British channel, they're picking Dave Allen to pull off an upset against Olympian Frazer Clarke on Saturday. A lot of people believe this could be a tough fight for Frazer Clarke. Now, Fraze hasn't shone in his 7 fights so far as a pro, and he is 32, so he needs to click in to form as quick as possible. 32 years of age, 6'6", 270-pound heavyweight. It's a big guy. It's a very big guy. 19 stone heavyweight. Last time out, he went 10 rounds against Mariusz Wach. This is his 4th fight this year. Last year, he fought the likes of Sokolowski. Had a good 6-rounder. Didn't shine, but nevertheless, good work. Now, Dave Allen, 6'3", 21 wins, 18 inside the distance, 5 losses. 3 of them losses inside the distance, 2 draws. Believe it or not, he's actually younger than Frazer Clarke, 31. Now, the board wouldn't accept Dave Allen as a challenger for Fabio Wardley's British title. Now, we all know about the purse bid debacle with Ben Shalom, Frazer Clarke, and Fabio Wardley. We don't want to talk about that again because it's just absolutely mind-bogglingly incompetent from whoever's handling Frazer Clarke's business, not just Ben Shalom, anyone else involved in the process. Now, Dave Allen can get for a medical, or obviously we wouldn't be boxing on the undercard of EUBANK Smith on Saturday. He can still get for a medical, and he's only 31. But is he in the same kind of form when he knocked out Nick Webb and Lucas Brown? When he fought Lucas Brown in 2019, he weighed in 244. Then he got dismantled by David Price and he weighed 241, and it appeared that the ambition left the building because he had another fight. These are Matchroom fights when they was on Sky with Dorian Darch, which was investigated by the board because it was a peculiar fight of sorts. The investigation was dismissed and he weighed 262 for that, which means he wasn't training as hard as he was for the likes of Lucas Brown and David Price. That led to 2021 3 fights with Dennis Hobson Jr. It doesn't say Fight Zone on the information, but these are under the radar cards. He's fighting people who are 7-13-3, 5-8-0, 2-8-0, all stoppages. But you know, his weight hasn't gone below 250 or near the 240 mark like for Lucas Brown and David Price.
And you're coming in, first of all, a bit slimmer. I haven't seen you in some time. You're looking a bit more slim. How have you come down in this weight?
I actually weigh a lot more than I used to. I'm heavier than I used to be. I'm not a big heavyweight, but I'm weighing 19 stone. I've just built that way. But
now, I know Dave Allen is training with Jamie Moore, so he's got a serious coach in there. But can he carry 266, 19 stone? What is it, all muscle? And if it is all muscle, how's that going to help him against Frazer Clarke? He's going to be slow as anything. I think this is a result of him being relatively inactive and not having regular hard training camps like Frazer. He needs to offset Frazer's size with speed, I would assume. So before you go throw your money on Dave Allen, which I'm not advising anyone not to do or to do, this is not an advisory. Is he here just for a paycheck? And he's just saying the right things so people don't dismiss the fight out of sight? You know, he's got to be careful what he says. This is a pay-per-view card, and if people think the undercard is a joke, they could be inclined to swerve the purchase. The gate's probably already sold. That's okay. They don't have to worry about selling out the Manchester Arena, I wouldn't have thought. But when's the last time Dave Allen has trained seriously for a fight? That's the big question. There's a good chance he hasn't trained for a fight seriously since 2019 when he lost to David Price. Yeah, I'm assuming that Liam Smith versus EUBANK all tickets are sold. I'm assuming that, but I don't know. Is there really demand for the rematch? Pay-per-view twice on the bounce this fight. No world titles on the line. Is this the best fight that Sky can put on pay-per-view? Okay, first time around, no one really challenged putting this on pay-per-view for $19.99, and I think it's going to be the same price. The second time around, I might purchase it because I'm going to go live. If I do purchase it, I have a feeling this won't be one of the more popular pay-per-views in the United Kingdom in recent times.
On Saturday night, so looking forward to having him down. Obviously, announce his next fight actually on the show. I spoke to some members of his team and said he had a hand injury, so is that going to keep him out for long? The show. I spoke to some members of his team. He needs to show why we believe he can go all the way, and he'll want to show that on Saturday night. Ben Whitaker was originally part of the show. I spoke to some members of his team and said he had a hand injury, so is that going to keep him out for long? No, only slight. He'll announce his next fight actually on Saturday night.
He also had a shoulder injury in Saudi Arabia on the undercard of AJ versus Usyk 2, and now he's got a hand injury. And the worry now, despite what Ben Shalom is saying, is if this guy can't get off the sick table, is he injury prone? They had to shell out a lot of money for him, and he's not even near British level where the training camps will be harder and the fights will be more intense. Another domestic light heavyweight will challenge for the IBO World Light Heavyweight title on Friday, Lyndon Arthur. The fight will take place in the Bolton Whites Hotel on Channel 5 terrestrial television, so if you're in the UK you get to see it for just the price of your electricity. He takes on Brian SUAREZ from Argentina. 18 wins, 17 inside the distance with 1 loss. He lost to Albert Ramirez, who is currently 16-0 with 15 inside the distance from Venezuela. Lyndon Arthur, 22-1. The 1 loss to Anthony Yard, 15 inside the distance. He's 32 years of age, 6'2". Last time out, he took on Boris Crichton at the same venue, won a 10-rounder. He dropped Boris late in round 10. Wasserman and the Salins will be expecting a Lyndon Arthur win here. I'll be watching, probably go live. Suarez looks like he's got a bit of a dig, so Lyndon might want to do some boxing early and figure it all out. He's got a useful jab, so we expect to see a lot of that in the first couple of rounds. And he also has a useful right hand of his own. Let's hope Lyndon can bring the title back to the Black Flash stable. Big up Pat Barrett. All the best. All the best.
Yeah.